Lippitt, owner of the Hill Street Group and host of Communication is an Art, the podcast. I'm a communication strategist, a public speaker, and a leadership trainer. Most weeks, I'll be joined by other communication specialists, but every few weeks, you'll hear from just me to equip you, the listener, with practical tools and strategies to navigate through your day with confidence. These podcasts are always non-scripted and conversational. So let's dive into this together. Hi, everyone. This is Pam Lippitt from the Hill Street Group. I am back with another episode of Communication is an Art. We're recording this on a Monday morning, so it's good to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I guess, because it is Monday morning. And sometimes Monday is the hardest time to communicate, and so we have to do preparation. I'm all about preparing for things. I'm speaking later this week in person. I said to someone this morning, I have 90% ready. And they're like, that's really impressive. And I said, yeah, it's like the last 10% equals 90% of the work. So don't be so happy for me yet. It's kind of like packing, right? I always have 90% done. And no matter what I do, that last 10% takes me till 1 a.m. But today we are going to be talking, very excited about the employee experience and how communication plays such an important part of that. So without further ado, I am going to welcome Allison Jackson of ARJ Consulting to the group. And we're going to say hello. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yes, I'm so glad you joined us. I've been meeting a lot of new people along the way, and that's always exciting. And to showcase different sides of communication and how, there are uniquenesses, but there's also some underlying similarities, no matter what we do. So with that, I'd like you to introduce yourself for a couple minutes. Tell us how you got to that word consulting, and then we'll dive in and talk.
Sure. So I'm Allison Jackson. I've spent my entire career, my college life, undergrad, postgrad, everything has been communications, corporate communications, PR. I've really enjoyed, again, refining and understanding the employee experience when it comes to executive communications, intranets, newsletters, town halls, you name it, I've done it. And so my journey now has brought me to the point where I'm kind of on my own, being a consultant and really focusing on the employee experience and the importance of communication and wellness.
So I think everyone listening, I know I have started multiple jobs in my life, maybe not as much as some, and certainly not as many as young people today are experiencing. And even, people who are more seasoned in their careers who never thought they would be starting over, which is a whole new thing because you're bringing a lifetime of experience into a new position. So tell me, what's like the underlying thing that you see of the importance as people get started?
Yeah. So if you are just getting started in a business or consulting, there's just a wealth of information online. Like you don't need to run out and spend tons of money or hire coaches. Between YouTube, Google, AI, there's so much at your fingertips. It's so easy to quickly get up to speed on marketing, sales, all the things you need to know and understand. So that's what I would say. This point in time is just a wonderful way. If you are interested in starting your own business, now is the time to do it.
Okay, so that's moving us out. So that talks about how you are treating people as well as your business starts. So there's two sides to this coin. So for the person coming into a new job, what do you say from that perspective? Because while, there's a lot of AI and whatever, don't put us out of work. So,
Right.
so, but sometimes you just need that extra help and that extra support. I have actually become on a first name basis with Chat GPT. I've decided it's a her, and I call her Chat or Chatty. But it's their communication side. It's what you put. It's like the old, what you put in with a database. That's what you can get out. So it's not. It depends where your level of thought is to figure out if this is just enough for you.
Yeah.
So tell me when someone meets with you or when you're starting out with someone, what you talk about.
Sure. So it's about asking a lot of questions, kind of getting a foundational understanding of maybe where their struggles and challenges are. So whether you're a consultant, whether you're starting a new job, I always like to go on a listening tour. So kind of listening to the key stakeholders, where they're struggling, where they're seeing gaps. Looking at data, I always like the qualitative and the quantitative, right? So you look at the survey results, you look at the different, the hard, fast data, but then you also want that employee sentiment to understand really what's going on. And then you'll get a better idea of where you can kind of jump in and help.
And do you find that most employers are reticent or ready, 2 R's, to take those next steps to make their employees what they perceive as happy, as opposed to creating a better work environment?
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag, right? So some are, are starting from ground zero and they're like, I don't even know what we're doing here. There's no communication plan. There's no structure in place. And then others are far along and maybe they have a communications plan, but they feel like the employee engagement just isn't there, that the survey results are down or there's a lot of turnover. So I think it really varies. And I always try to just meet people where they are, right? If you're starting at ground zero, it's like taking those baby steps and just doing just the foundational things of having a communications plan, getting leaders to regularly communicate versus someone that's far along. It might be refining the messaging, making it super clear, looking at, is it just one way? Is it two way? What are the channels that they're using? So I think it really varies.
That's really interesting. So what percentage of companies talk about startups and then though I say there are startups and exits these days, there are no companies, which is to me incredibly sad, even though I work in the startup world a lot. What percentage of companies starting do you think actually have on their to-do list creating a communications plan?
Oof, I would say so like single digits. Like I would think communications is an afterthought. It's not a need to have, it's a nice to have. And I think they communicate reactively versus proactively. So they're communicating to get things done. They're not communicating to kind of help move the company in a certain direction. At least that's what I see from my perspective.
So then you step in because they're more in maybe not quite crisis mode, but they're seeing things that are just going off the rails.
Yeah. So you might have operations is communicating, getting jobs done. HR is communicating something else about benefits. And it's really kind of pulling that consistent messaging and key points that you want everyone beating the same drum, right? And you might have one team communicating 10 times a day, another team not communicating at all. So it's really understanding the frequency, the messaging, and just kind of organizing it so people aren't overwhelmed or maybe they feel like they're not hearing anything. So it's really important to just be strategic with your communications and how you do it.
That's really interesting. I have to say I'm involved in a nonprofit as a volunteer, and that is not from the staff side, but like knowing when to communicate or over communicating has become a real challenge, I will say. So especially, and I said to someone last night, it's Sunday night. You may not respond.
Yes.
The bane of my existence was when I was in the nonprofit world, sitting as an executive director, was the 10 o'clock Sunday night email. I'll tell you, and you can tell me if this was a wrong thing to do. I don't work there anymore, so there's that. But I finally put an auto kind of response on my computer, on my phone, that said, thank you, I got your message, and I'll respond, first thing in the morning. Because I felt from the communication standpoint, I was acknowledging that I received it. So she didn't think it was just floating in the space. But I was not at 10 o'clock at night on Sunday night when I had to be in the office at 8 in the morning, starting a whole series of texts and emails.
No, I think that's totally fair. And I also think that's something that a lot of companies and leadership don't think about when they're sending messages, the timing of it, the length. Are you sending it right before everybody's going on vacation? To your point, are you sending something on a Friday at 6 o'clock, like at 7 in the morning? Like, I think it's being respectful and understanding what are you expecting your employees to react and when. So I think that's something that people don't often think about when they're sending communications out.
Yeah. Now even I think on Outlook, even you can pre-time your email to go out later. Yes. So there's nothing wrong with working on it and figuring it out and perfecting it. My mom sewed. She wasn't a seamstress. She sewed. And she had this theory and she was a late night person, so am I. So she could lay out a pattern on the dining room table till 1 in the morning. But her personal rule was she never brought the scissors in until the next day. For me, that has manifested itself in terms of writing something important. Mm-hmm. I can write it at night. I can put it in the draft. I never put the person I'm sending it in is the very last thing that goes in. And then I'll reread it in the morning.
I love that.
Fresh eyes.
Yeah. Yes, that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about when you start a new job as an employee, what your expectations should be, and if they're not met, how you can deal with that.
Yeah, so I think it's important to go in with eyes wide open, right? And assess with the first 30, 60 days, get an idea of the culture, get an idea of what is the communication cadence, who are the key players, kind of get a lay of the land. And then from there, you're going to get a better understanding of kind of where maybe there's room for improvement and opportunities. And I would say as an employee, like, you're in charge of your employee experience. So if you see things that maybe could be improved or things that are working well, like, raise your hand and let people know that. I think a lot of times we sit back and we're like, okay, give me my amazing experience. And I think it's really a two-way street.
I like what you said. You said you're in charge of your
employee experience, whether you have a good one or not.
You know what? I think that is a revelation to people. Mm-hmm. People think they're just, especially it's easy to feel like you're a cog in the machine, especially if you're coming into an existing machine, and, not overwhelming, but certainly letting people know, in my last job, we received like an outline so we could better function. Is that something you want me to kind of dive in? I can show you it. Those are kind of things that can help along, make you a good team player.
Yes.
Without being overwhelming.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And you're adding value, right? You're trying to make things better. You're not going in there trying to turn everything upside down. It's just kind of like, this is what I've seen in the past that's worked really well. Maybe we could do that here too. And that's not to say, I don't want you to think, because this has happened to me, you go into a job and you're like, oh, all the red flags. You're like, oh, this doesn't really work well. So I don't want you also to go in with blinders like, oh, or like you're trying to fix everything. And it's like, okay, this is not fixable, or this is too much. So it's really, having that self-awareness and again, taking in the culture, understanding the job that you're joining is really important.
Speak a little more to that, understanding the job.
Yeah. So they're interviewing you, but you are interviewing them just as much. So it's important to ask questions around culture, communication, transparency, the things that are important to you, the things that you value. You need to make sure that that employer offers that or has that or is capable of providing you with that. For me in the past, I took a job because I was like, oh, my company was moving and I needed a job quickly. So I felt like I had to jump, and I jumped, and in my gut, I was like, this is not a good fit. And I knew from day one. So it's like, listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, because it's going to align with what is appropriate for you.
Yeah. And so how long did it take you to make a move? For me, it was 14 months.
So a day when I knew it was bad, I never stopped searching, and I left without another job within 6 months. I was like,
wow.
it was just like bad, just all around. I was like, I can't stay here. luckily I found something right away. So I left within 6 months. Within 2 months, I found something.
Well, I was kind of lucky. I was actually recruited to a better job. And when I told them I was leaving, there was shock in the room.
Yes.
I think they had no clue it had to do with them. So.
Of course. And I love it. It's usually the companies that are the big name brands that you think this is going to be such an amazing place to work. And then you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
Right. So talk a little bit about, the world is not upside down, but the world has evolved, right?
Yes.
And so we spent those upside down years working from home. I still work from home, but working from home. So even the corporate person who for 20 years, every day got up and got dressed and got in the car or the train or whatever for a half hour, all of a sudden realized that the world could work differently. But that runs to a whole different communication.
Yes.
Pain points, I guess.
Yes.
So how do employers work with that while wanting to keep their staff and their people happy, but still need to figure out the right communication?
Yeah. So I think it's going to vary, right? So we have the fully remote people. We have people that are expected to be in the office 5 days a week, and then we have kind of in the middle hybrid. I think it's really important if you're expecting people to be in the office to make it very intentional. I mean, obviously you want groups that are working together. You want people to be able to exchange ideas and collaborate. And then the remote folks, you want to engage them as well. So it's not just the one-way emails, and you want to make it, make the meetings interactive or have team building where it gets people involved. Because a lot of times the people that are remote have to be remote. They just don't live close by and they feel like they're out on an island. So you always want to level set sometimes. Like if everybody's in the office and one person's remote, making sure that person just feels included. So I think you need to be really intentional with your communications and making sure those people feel like they're a part of the team.
Yeah. I did a lot of work after after the bulk of the pandemic lifted and people could move around. And that was one of the things I talked about was when I met with clients, this is a great time to do a reset. Everybody is looking to you for what the reset's going to be. And it can't be you have to come back into the office and sit in your cubicle all day long, because your cubicle can be anywhere. That is just a placeholder. What are you doing to make the experience and the importance of being together a pleasure, something important, something worthwhile?
Yes. Yeah. Something that's going to make people want to be in the office, not you're wagging your finger at them like you need to be here. It's like, oh, there's so much going on and it's exciting and good energy and people are there and the hustle and bustle. Like you want to be pulling people there. And it's not just free food and parties. No. Like you want to have engaging meetings. Leadership is interacting with junior staffers. Like you want to make it, career growth, opportunity, development, all that stuff is what people crave.
Right. That's a really good idea. Like even setting aside one morning a week or a couple hours a week that is intentionally meeting with your mentor, meeting with your, one time it's meeting with everybody on your level with a speaker, different things to make it interesting for you to be there.
Yes.
And to be involved. It's people don't understand that. And I like the hybrid idea. That works for me. Would work for me the best. And I was did a lot of nonprofit executive work, and so there was the ability to hybrid. I will say, in my very first job, I was just out of college, and my then secretary, because I actually loved the word secretary. I thought it was an important word, an executive secretary especially. But so now we would have called her an administrator. But she said, my boss called, and so I've always been in this kind of world. My boss was in New York. I work for a national organization. And the boss called like at 9:15 and on a Monday morning. And she said, "Oh, Pam's not here yet. I guess she's not coming in this early today." That was her response. And that was her last day of work. Because I had come from a meeting off the road on Sunday, where I had driven 5 hours home on Sunday and got home at 11:30 at night. And you bet I was taking off an hour in the morning.
Yeah.
And but that was her last day. I was like, "Have you said this to him before?" She said, "Well, when you're not here at 9:00. And so maybe the me now says, I should have said to her from the beginning, though I had, if I'm not here, it's not because I'm not here. It's because I'm somewhere else or doing other things. So a lot of it is setting expectations and not ratting people out.
Yes. And trusting. I think it's a lot of trust, to your point about hybrid, trusting that people, having the flexibility that people have lives outside of work to get done what they're going to do. They're going to travel 5 hours on a Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, that has always frustrated me that everybody assumes the worst. It's like, why don't you assume positive intent that everyone is doing their best and fulfilling their work obligations? And when they're not, then you question.
That's a great lesson for our session today. Yeah. With communication in general. Assume the intent was the best and then work from there. Yeah. It's I can give you other parallels to that, but let's move along in terms of the old fashioned. This is just a me, because whatever. I've been in the work world a long time. The old fashioned handbook. Mm-hmm. Does that still have a place in today's world?
That is a great question. I think it has a place in terms of the cut and dry, black and white. You know what I mean? Like sexual harassment, no drinking on the job, like that stuff. Like, those I think do. But then the other ones, again, like having to show up and be in your seat by 9 a.m. And like, I think that's gone by the wayside. Having specific hours and specific, like very black and white things like that, I think have gone by the wayside. I feel like having a culture and mission and values is way more important, is going to go further for your employees than a black and white handbook.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's really, so one of the things you have told me when we did our little pre-talk was that if you invest in people, the business will do a better job succeeding. So talk a little bit as we're kind of coming to the end of our time. So I think that's a really good thing to talk about.
Yeah. So, I know we always hear the customer is right and focus on the customer, but it's like, who are those people focusing on the customer? It's your employees. So when you have happy employees that feel trusted or communicated to, understand the direction of the business and what the mission is, that is going to drive your customer service. So when you invest in employees invest in customers, and it's a win-win-win. Like it's, I know a lot of people are like, oh, wellness programs, I think it's a nice to have. No, like your employees' mental and physical health at the end of the day is going to reflect how they treat your customers and how they get their job done. So huge proponent of invest in your people and it will return tenfold.
Yeah. There's a survey out there I think from 2023 or 2024 that says that companies who invest and do extra training and for their employees, that employee is 29% less apt to leave their job and move somewhere else. So when you think about the cost of bringing in a trainer, bringing in whatever, versus the whole process of recruiting someone new, training them, getting them up to speed, and probably paying them more than the person who left, which is the sad reality of the world. That 29%, that's huge.
Yeah. That is
and really says to you, it is time to invest in your people. Yeah. So I think communication is a great place for that to start. I want to thank you, Allison, for coming today. We just met. So Allison and I've never met in person. I should have started with that. We're both in an organization called Innovation Women, whose purpose is to get women on stages when most our panels and conversations are just men. Mm-hmm. We have really good women who can join in that panel. Yeah. So I will let everyone know, if you want to see the full uncut version of this, it's up on the my YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is called Communication is an Art. And that's what we're doing. If you want to get a hold of Allison, pop into LinkedIn to find her, Allison R. Jackson. You can find me I'm going to close this. I'm doing my own work today. I'm going to close that. And you can also find me lots of places, LinkedIn and Instagram, as well as, all the YouTube, all the general spots. So I want to thank you with that. I am Pamela Lippitt wherever I show up, or Pam Lippitt. You can try them both. Allison, I want to thank you for your time. I look forward to having you back. I think there's really a lot of things that you can talk about that will keep the employer happy and content, the employee happy and content, and therefore the business even better. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
You too. Bye-bye now, everyone. Hi, this is Pam Lippitt from the Hill Street Group. Thank you for listening to Communication is an Art. Make sure you subscribe and continue to listen. We really appreciate it. Share with your friends all those different lovely things. And we will be back soon. Have a great day.